I live 3 minutes down the street in Pembroke, and I've gone to this church for more than 25 years. I began coming here when I was in my early 30s. I had 4 kids. I was a young executive with a company that made me travel all over the world. My family started coming here, and I thought, I ought to do something that helps out the community and becomes more part of the church. So I showed up here one Saturday afternoon to do some of the yard cleanup. And that day, I met an old man who's in his mid-70s, I would say. His name was Everett Ridley. Everett Ridley, many of you probably knew. He was a retired machine shop owner. He was married to one of the finest women that ever walked through the doors of this church, Edie Ridley. They lived in a little cottage on a lake not too far from here in Pembroke. And Everett and I didn't have a lot in common, but we began to become friends. The day I showed up at the church that morning, he was rolling up a hose on here in the driveway. And I'd never actually rolled up a hose myself, and he showed me how to do it the right way. And I've done it that way ever since. And every time I roll up a hose, I think of Everett. Over the weeks and months and years that followed, Everett taught me how to do everything in this church. How to get the weeds out of the garden. We painted everything. We fixed the windows. We fixed the doors. We kept the heating system going. We didn't talk much. Everett wasn't a man for a lot of words. I did a lot of the talking. But more than all the things Everett taught me how to do in this church, he taught me how to be peaceful and quiet. He taught me to honor my elders. The reason I'm telling you this story is because the reason I go to church is because of community. And Everett was part of my community. And if you don't belong to a church, you don't meet people like Everett Ridley in bars or in soccer fields or in your neighborhood. You have to come to a community like this to know people like him. St. Andrews is a very diverse community, and that's one of the things I've always cherished about it. We're old and young, toddlers to great-grandparents. We live our lives in this church, and we're all in different times of our life, and we travel through this life together. We have conservative people politically, liberals, and everything in between, rich and poor, middle class, educated, uneducated. And spiritually, we're also quite diverse. You can be sitting in the pews in St. Andrews and have an evangelical Christian on one side and an agnostic on the other. Most of us in our time here are somewhere in between. And the Episcopal Church celebrates that in-betweenness, that difference, that diversity. It's what makes us strong as a church, because it's okay to question in this church. It's okay to be different. You can be a woman and be a priest. You can be gay. You can be of any race. You can be of any age, any education, any income bracket, and be perfectly at home at this church. The Episcopal Church celebrates that diversity, and that's what makes us strong. It's the conversation we've had over generations that's made us a little wiser, a little better educated, a stronger church. That's why I'm a member of St. Andrews, and I give thanks for that.